thanks so much for sitting down with us. Welcome to Catalyst.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here today. It's a
Yeah.
party. That is like my little tagline that I always tell people. I'm like, hashtag it's a party.
Well, what are you excited about for Catalyst?
I love that we're back. You know, we've been in this pandemonium of a pandemic for 3 years. So it's like, this is my first year back, and it's great to see everyone. I love this festival because I feel like it takes us out of those little like coastal elite cities of New York and LA where everyone's keeping up appearances and trying to one-up each other and all of that. And it just gives us a nice neutral setting where no one's like king over the other person. It's a great place to network, and yeah, so I'm excited to see all the new work that's coming out. I'm here this year working with Catalyst, so I'm also excited to just like help out and put out any fires that need to be put out. I won best lead drama actress in 2018, so this is also kind of my way of giving back because the festival has done a lot for my career as well.
Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about your career? What do you do, and what are you doing now?
Sweet. So I am an actor and a writer. I'm based in New York, but I was actually born in Harare, Zimbabwe. I grew up in London and also Beijing.
Wow.
I'm a third culture kid, proud global citizen of the world, and my parents are diplomats. So I've moved around a lot. So yes, I've done a lot of theater, film. I auditioned for a lot of film and TV. I was a lead in a short that was at Catalyst under the previous brand of ITV Fest at Manchester, Vermont. And it was a short slightly inspired with my journey as an immigrant artist in the United States. And so it was like an immigration-based short called Patiri in the Promised Land, and that's where I won Best Lead Drama Actress. It was about a girl called Patiri who basically finds out her visa is out, and she has these dreams to be like a journalist at Columbia, and so she's kind of like trying to figure out the system and what to do. And you know, at the time we were doing it kind of based on like it's fictionalized and loosely based off of like what I was going through. My visa wasn't out. I was just trying to figure out how to qualify for a visa as in like an immigrant artist. But obviously when we were creating it, it was under the previous administration where so many things were happening that we didn't anticipate the effect that it would have on people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why is that kind of story important?
Ooh. The story... Ooh. I talk about this all day, so I'm trying to figure out how to say this in the best way that this doesn't end up in as a 3-hour like conversation and I don't like bore you to death. So like as someone who grew up as a third culture kid, like all around the world, this is something that's always been deeply like familiar to me. I'm also from Zimbabwe, which you know, is kind of famous for having the like hyperinflation, like think Germany in the 1930s of the $1 trillion bill. Like people know about that, and so I'm familiar with the world of just immigration in itself, whether it's like moving or student visas and all of that stuff. So when I explain it to the everyday American, or even like some of my British friends who are like born and bred British, it's all new to them and they have no idea what's happening and they can't conceptualize. So it like, I find it's important to give out the information of like just how many hurdles it takes to move to a country, to establish yourself in a country and do well in a country, and the reasons why we leave the countries that we're from to come to America, to come to the UK, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, for a better life, and all of the stuff that comes with that, where it's, you know, culture shock. I'm most interested in telling stories about immigration, whether it's like the first generation experience or like what it means to like move into a new country, because you deal with different cultures. So I think about how, you know, I moved to the UK when I was a baby. my parents were the age that I am in now, in their 20s, I can't imagine what it was for them leaving what they knew to start a new life with this young person. And I'm growing in the UK, and to me, that's my culture. And then when I'm in Zimbabwe, which is like my heritage and like what my passport says, I'm unfamiliar with that. So there's something interesting about the dynamics of different cultures and the clashes that come there, and like the intergenerational like dabbling. You can tell like I just love people, and I have a hunger to know people, to understand people, and see where we're coming from. Especially because like if this is the world, we are like one people. We all love, we all bleed, we all cry. You know, I believe we should all have like access to see the world. A lot of people don't ever get to leave their hometown or ever get to travel, and there is also a bit of privilege in leaving your town or leaving your country. Like even when it comes to like people who immigrate, whether it's like they come from family with money, or they come from a community that was able to fundraise for them to then travel.
Yeah.
I think I'll end there before I start talking about Ukraine and all of that stuff.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So now tell me about your podcast. You're
Yes.
working on a podcast. What's it about?
Yeah.
And where can people hear it?
So my podcast is called Zim Excellence. It focuses on Zimbabwean trailblazers and change makers around the world. So basically, it's about elevating and rewriting the narrative of what it means to be Zimbabwean. And so I talk to different Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe and also around the world doing great things. So I've talked to actresses who've been doing great stuff in film and TV. I've talked to like a cardiac surgeon. I've talked to someone who's at Sony Publishing in South Africa, which is really cool, and it's been listened to in about like over 45 countries, all the continents listenable. Like I don't know if you can listen to podcasts in the Arctic and Antarctica, but my stats show me that like, you know, it's been listened to in all the continents, and like I think it was like over 400 cities, which is really cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So what's your number one piece of advice for someone that wants to get into acting? How do they do it and get to where you are now?
For someone who wants to get into acting, welcome. We need you. Your voice is needed. There is space for everyone. And how do they get into it? Like, the internet is like your oyster. There are so many great, again, podcasts on acting. There is One Broke Actress. There is Let's Play the Create podcast. There is a great podcast called Audrey Helps Actors. There's big Instagram communities. You can follow, if people have access to IMDb, they can look at where their favorite actors and actresses went and studied for schools. They can see who is casting the shows that they love, and a lot of casting directors are on Instagram and Twitter, so you can like look into the advice that they're putting, you know, firsthand from their perspective on the internet as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to for Catalyst this year?
Ooh, so there are some really great talks with David Letterman and Tina Fey, so I'm excited to see that. And to hear some of the pitches that people have for their shows, which is cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us today, and
Thank
enjoy
you.
Catalyst.
Sweet. Thanks for having me. It was a party.